Pretty lady. Pretty lady. Out there on the floor. I really like your style. Can I dance with you? Pretty lady. Hello, everyone. I am William Jamar Wright.
And I'm Hattie.
And this is our podcast, HattieJo. And on this episode, we're going to ask the question, are the rules different for people that look good? So,
attractive people.
Yeah, attractive people. And so, it's funny, like, this is like a random thought that came into my head. Like, so I was visiting, me and my boys, we do like a little guys trip every year.
Last man standing.
Last man standing. And,
name.
and so this year we actually went out to Oregon. And while we were out in Oregon, like, there was a situation, and like,
A situation.
well, it wasn't a situation. It was just a difference of opinion. And so, like, I was of the opinion that, like, you need to be, like, more reserved and, like, kind of let the situation come to you. And then...
Let the situation come to you?
Well, no, well, it wasn't a bad situation. It wasn't, like, just,
So,
like...
are you talking about approaching? Let's make it more clear for the audience what you're talking about. You don't have to be explicit, but just like...
No, just, like, you don't need to be the aggressor in, like, a situation. Like, you just need to chill.
What's a situation? Like, what type of situation?
It doesn't matter what the situation, like...
So, but you're meaning, like, in some type of, there's romantic, maybe not romantic, but there's, like, attraction somewhere, or just, like, any type of interaction, like with trying to get, trying to get the bartender to serve you some drinks. Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about, like, trying to...
Yeah, so, like,
pick up the
yes,
chick?
like, no, there was, like, a bartender, and so, like, basically there's a bartender, and I'm like...
Full crowded bar.
Yeah, like, everyone there, like, it's crowded. I'm like, the bartender will come over to us, like, just
eventually,
for, like,
right?
yeah, the
like,
bartender
it's part
will
of her
get
job.
Yeah.
She sees people show up. She's making drinks. She has an order in her mind.
Like, she will come over
he
here.
Or she, yeah.
She will come over here and, like, she will serve us. Just give her some time. And, like, one of the, like, basically, Rob was like, no, like, we need to, like, call her and, like, get her, like, basically try to get her attention. And I was like, dude, just relax and just chill. Like, she'll, like, come over and she will wait on us. So, like, Rob and I, like, we kind of kept going back and forth about this. And, like, I got back here to to North Carolina.
Yeah.
I'm not going back to South Carolina. Well, I did come from the family reunion, but I got back here to North Carolina. I'm like,
it was a lot of travel.
And it just kind of, like, struck me, like, Rob and I were best friends, like, at Duke, and we always had kind of just different viewpoints on some things, and yeah. So it just, like, made me think, because, like, I view myself as, like, a very attractive person, and so like, I wondered if, like, because, like, I'm attractive, or I think I'm attractive, and because, like, I kind of have that, like, idea of, like, football, and, like, it's romanticized, and, like, all the girls want to talk to the football players, and, like, those type of situations, if it has, like, kind of warped my mind into, like...
as in, I don't need to do anything to get served.
Yeah,
because
like,
I'm attractive, she's gonna come serve me. Whereas, like, an ugly dude might be like, no, I really need to flag him down. I'm not calling Rob.
Yeah.
The thought occurred to you was, maybe I have this approach in how I live my life because I don't have to get the attention.
Or because like I perceive myself as more attractive than like maybe I'm.
Well, your attractiveness is why you don't have to recruit the attention. It's already there.
Yes. And so like it just made me think like, so are the rules different for like attractive people? And I know my answer, and I would definitely say that the rules are different for like attractive people.
So to clarify, I think we had briefly discussed before the podcast 2 different categories.
Yeah.
One being in romantic or just other
attractive,
attraction type interactions, and then everyday other interactions, such as the bartender situation. And I think the rules are different too, and I definitely think, to illustrate my point, I think a big part of general attractiveness is grooming. And so, well, because I feel like there's categories of people, right? There's people that are movie star attractive, and they're that mega attractive because they are attractive to everyone, right? Or a very large proportion of people, right? You take Brad Pitt in his prime and you ask 10 females, 9 or 10 of them are going to be like, oh, he's extremely attractive. Whereas you take another attractive person, but maybe not in that upper echelon, and it might change to 6 out of 10, right? So just the amount of people that perceive them as attractive changes. And of course, of those 6 or of those 10 women that find the person attractive, some might rate him a 10, some might rate him a 6, so they're going to have different degrees of attraction to him, but when it comes down to a yes or a no, more people are going to say yes. And so I feel like the same type of argument can be extended to someone that shows up to an interview that's well-groomed. Not necessarily, like, I think you should go to an interview wearing, like, fancy dress clothes, but if you have one candidate that has good grooming with their hair and face versus another candidate that doesn't have good grooming, I think the candidate with the better grooming is going to have subconsciously the same small edge as someone that's like, we're both equally well groomed and dressed, and this one's just more attractive than the other. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to illustrate the point of how the attractiveness is not something that is necessarily conscious in your mind. Like, oh, that person's attractive, I'm going to give them opportunities, or I'm going to do separate things, be nicer to them. I think some of it is similar, like if someone walked into your office for an interview and they looked all disheveled and everything, just didn't look like they put any effort in towards getting to an interview, I don't think you would treat them automatically the exact same way as someone that came in that looked like they really took the time and took this seriously. And
yeah, but I think that's a little bit different. That's more of like preparedness as opposed to like just naturally like attractive.
Okay.
Because like I would say like you may not like take somebody that like took 2 hours to get dressed and like put on like do everything, like do the nails, like do everything to like get prepared, as opposed to somebody that like took 30 minutes but they still like look put together. Like I would not.
Yeah, then I would say that's fine. Even playing field. But I guess, and I agree with you completely, like if you're not attractive, no amount of grooming is going to suddenly make you attractive to me. Do you know what I mean? Like if I take a guy that I don't find to be attractive.
I think like we're
so
going
no, hold on. I'm
attraction.
trying to explain that my purpose with the grooming thing was to try to illustrate how visual attractiveness can change how people respond to other people. Not that I think grooming is the end-all be-all for determining is someone attractive or not.
Okay.
So it was maybe a bad example, but to illustrate my point. But I think that yes, in general, yes. I think that
the rules are different.
The rules are a little different, and especially I think they're different with some of these borderline behaviors that could be, especially in the romantic sense, that could be perceived as creepy or flattering, yes. Right? So I think there are a lot of behaviors, I'm going to tell from my experience as a woman, that men can do that if I'm attracted to him, oh, that's great, like, how sweet, like, cute, he's into me. Whereas if I'm not attracted to him, sometimes it's like, oh, he's into me, dang it, I'm not into him. Whereas other times that's a little creepy and I'm weirded out.
Mm.
Whereas if the guy was really cute and had done that, might have given him a little bit more benefit of the doubt. You know, like on the spectrum of very normal to very creepy behavior, and the gray area gets a lot smaller if you're not attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it gets a little wider
if
you're more attractive.
Which goes to the point of like the rules being different, and so like maybe that gray area, like the person that's less attractive, they feel like they have to be like the more aggressor, and they have to like do things to maybe get someone's attention that maybe like you're pushing the borderline, you're crossing the line here a little bit,
or even the opposite, right? So some people could be really bold and being like, just to say some type of compliment, and if they're attractive it's like, oh, ha ha ha, like, right? But if they're not attractive it's like, ugh, like, what are you doing, what are you thinking? You know? And so I could see it being, I definitely see what you're saying with, if you're very attractive and don't have to do anything to get the attention, you learn to, I don't have to do anything, the attention comes to me. But, and other people might learn that I have to really show attention. But I also feel like it can work other ways. Like, people might learn, if I show this attention, they're going to think I'm creepy or weird, so I need to be reserved. Whereas more attractive people might be able to show certain types of attention.
And no matter what they do.
It's fine.
Cute, Oh, it's funny, like, I started to think about, like, just, like, relationship stuff, and, like, I feel like it definitely goes true for, like, attractive girls. Like, they could say some, like, really, like, crazy and outlandish things, and you're like, I'll give them kind of the benefit of the doubt, like, she's really hot, like, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But it's become not so much like in like romantic situations, but I feel like the lesser, I feel like I'm overgeneralizing here, but like, at least for me, it's been like the lesser attractive girls have like had more substance, and an ability to like hold a conversation.
Right, because they have to do other things than look pretty to hold someone's attention. Yeah, I would agree with that.
But yeah, it's kind of like, speaking from experience here, it's just like that little carrot that like the attractive girl, like they just haven't had to try that very hard to like keep someone's attention. Right.
Or that's when I guess it's normally looked at on girls, but I think it goes just as well for guys. You were talking about substance, but also having personality or just interest, you know, like just general things that
you can talk about with
someone.
Yeah,
you can talk about with someone, or opinions on things, and just, you know.
So would you say like that goes for guys, that kind of
that
overgeneralization that we're making, it kind of stands true for guys as well?
Yes. And I think there's a lot of times where, what was I going to say? I think there's a lot of times in our society where we kind of have jokes or stereotypes about some of this behavior that I think are overdone. Like one common thing might be, oh, well, she got pulled over when she was speeding, but she was like in a really cute top, so the cop let her off, right? I'm sure that does happen, but I think our society has gotten a lot better at not being
not falling for those tropes. Like,
not falling for those tropes.
You off just because you
right, or being so in your face, kind of treating people.
Yeah,
so I think it's really subtle, I guess is what I'm trying to say. We've gotten to the point where the differences in treatment are, in my opinion, more subtle than they may have been in the past, or more subtle than what we might stereotypically think of is an example of being treated differently because of your attractiveness, such as the example with the cop.
Yes, and I think like movements like the Me Too movement and like all of the like kind of the like women speaking up about like the situations that they've been put in, and like that is kind of made men, especially for myself, like reevaluate and think about like the way we treat people, and like hopefully it's taking some of that gray area out,
Right.
and made like, because I do think that it should, like that gray area is not good standard, in the way that like you treat people and like you talk to them, but there definitely becomes a little blurred lines there.
Definitely. And I think good point you're making about the Me Too movement and everything is, I think it's also kind of in our we've kind of segued a little bit to more like male to female as opposed to back and forth.
Yes.
But I think, again, stereotypically our society might, if a woman is making inappropriate advances to a guy, it's like, ha ha ha, like, good one, Joe, you know. Whereas if this situation were reversed, it might be extremely horrifying that this man is saying these things to this woman.
Yes.
And so I think it's also kind of making it more prevalent that it's not a one-way street.
True.
Like, it's not just
yes.
you have to treat women this way. It's you have to treat everyone with a certain level of decorum.
Well, it's funny that you talked about like that kind of like male to female or female to male, because I'm thinking about like times where like it's like the guys are kind of all hanging out, and I wouldn't say that like the like most attractive guy is the one that kind of hold like power isn't the right like holds that kind of status, and they're like, oh, you can just say anything and like people are gonna just brush it off, right? So like the most attractive guy in like our group, like that doesn't give you any like prestige.
Advantage.
Yeah, that doesn't give you any advantage or anything. It's
so they
just
don't
like,
do it.
yeah, so like,
Right.
well, they still make, well, people may make dumb comments, but like we're more apt to call it out like, oh, you just made a dumb comment, like
Right.
like
Right.
that status of like being the attractive one, it loses its power when you're not around people that like are attracted to you.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Right. So if you're used to having, you know, if good things come to you because you wear low-cut shirts or whatever, and then suddenly you go to an all-female workplace where most people are straight, I guess, I'm assuming, suddenly those perks you're used to will no longer be given to you because you're not receiving all the attention. But again, I don't think that's just a female thing. I think it's...
Yeah. So this kind of like, what do you think of, because I've definitely like been more conscious of the way like I treat people in social situations. And it kind of reminds me of this time we were out at a bar, like it was pretty crowded, and like there's a...
When was this, like us, or was it you with your friends?
No,
or?
this is us, and like I think Josh is with us. We like went out in Raleigh, and like the two of us, like it was me and another young lady. We were at the bar, and like we were standing there, like we'd been waiting for like a good while. I like got my order, and so I'm kind of like waiting, and then this other girl, she is like moderately attractive. She comes walking up, and she's just like, oh, like she's just like, oh, I'm gonna go to the front, and like I'm gonna order my drink, and it's just like every man for themselves. Like there is no decorum here.
I have no respect for a line, or
and like it was very obvious that she was just like, I'm more attractive, so I'm just gonna like get up to the front. And so I was like, I literally said to her, I'm like, yo, she was here before you, like you need to chill out and like you need to wait and like get behind her. And she was just like, oh, like is she your girlfriend? And I'm just like, no, she's not my girlfriend. Like it's just
a common decent human being. Like
it's just the fact that like she was here before you, and like she should like get to order her drink like before you. Like you're not just gonna like rush her waltz in here and think, oh, like the world is fine, I can do whatever I want to. And that just like it got me, that just in terms of like social situations and kind of like your attractiveness and kind of the rules that you've kind of lived by, giving you that permission that, I can do whatever I want to here.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that also goes for why a lot of some of those ultra mega attractive people are not so nice anymore, right? Because they get by, they don't have to be kind, they don't have to be, I'm not saying they're all a-holes or anything, but you're more likely to encounter that public behavior of really rude if they're really attractive, because they don't have to be nice in order to get what they want. They don't have to be kind and respectful towards others. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're already getting fame and attention.
Yeah.
And so they no longer have to follow some of the normal customs.
Decorum,
yeah. And so I think that's why my parents are always like, oh, child stars are always so messed up, because like, but.
Well, I feel like,
about that, but
honestly, like, that, like, we're kind of going off a little bit here, but that, like, stardom and, like, being, like, a child celebrity, I could see how that could totally go to your head.
Well, that's my point. To me, it's the same
like
type of thing. Not necessarily, not that people are finding child stars attractive, but the concept of, I get a lot of attention through really no fault of my own.
Yeah.
And therefore, I don't need to follow the normal rules of how to treat other people. And so whether you're getting that attention because you're a really precocious young child star or you're really attractive male or female is neither here nor there. I think that response is the same. I'm getting all of this attention.
So
I don't have to do anything to get the attention. It gives me a massive ego, and now I'm less likely. I do think I'm a little bit more important than other people, and I don't think I should have to wait in line to get a drink and little things like that. Is my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting though, because in general, I feel like it kind of all normalizes out with what I was trying to say at the beginning of a regular attractiveness guy might be attractive to 5 or 6 out of the 10 women, whereas an uber attractive guy, which is not as common, might be attractive to 8, 9, or 10 of 10 women. And so with different people, which people find them attractive is different. Do you know what I mean? I found this a lot with some of my friends. So some of my friends and I have very different types.
Yeah.
Right? Well, so I would say that I don't have like a type physically, whereas I know a lot of friends that do. And there'll be times where we both are like, that guy's really attractive, and then other times where she might be like, that guy's really attractive, and I'm like, ugh, like, that guy's not attractive at all. Like, you go for it, you know what I mean? Like, so, yeah, all yours. So I just find, growing up, that was really interesting to me, to see which guys my friends and I all in common found attractive versus someone found someone else really attractive but the rest of us did, and so in general, that's what I wanted to say but forgot to say, is that I think unless you're in that really upper echelon, it kind of evens out, because you're not going to get that same response from everybody. So you're not consistently getting the attention for doing nothing, or you're not getting it consistently enough that you can choose, I don't have to be so nice anymore, or I can not follow these social rules, right? There might be lots of interactions where you're like, oh, that could be kind of nice, but then there's the 2 or 3 that you don't get that same response. So now you can't be confident that...
Yeah, it's just universal.
Yeah, it's just universal. So I think that also comes to play a lot, because I think it's pretty common to, at least for a female, to go up to the bar and be waiting patiently, and for the bartender, if they're male, to give you their attention before some of the other guys. And it's easy to assume, like, oh, that's because I'm a cute girl, right? But that doesn't always happen. You know what I mean? So it's not like I can just march up there every time and just, I'll get the drinks really quick. Like, let me just go up to the bar, So it's something that happens often enough. And it's the type of thing that happens and you instantly think, it's because I'm a cute girl. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing that the bartender said or really did.
Yeah,
but somehow that's like my immediate reaction. And there's other interactions you have with people. Maybe it's just like a look that you share that you kind of get that feeling of, oh, they're into me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's not something that is come from a long interaction. It's like a micro interaction that you instantaneously kind of feel.
Huh.
And so I don't think that's something that many behaviors are needed to get that impression. Right? But
yes.
So you get that impression really quickly with some people, but not with others. And that's why I'm saying it evens out.
Yes. Well, that's interesting. Like, just decide.
I mean, to some extent, I wouldn't say completely. Like, I think if you're still a little bit more attractive, you're going to have more of those positive interactions but not enough that you can kind of become...
may think it's universal. Like, oh, I'm always going to get in the club. Like,
right.
times where, like, you go to the bar and they're like, no, you need to go to the back of the line.
Right. So, not enough times where you can stop observing the social norms.
Yes.
I guess.
Well, it's funny you kind of talked about, like, your friends and, like, you may think that they're attractive and, like, someone else in your friend group might not. May think they're, like, the hottest thing on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, like, maybe this is just because, like, we don't talk about these type of things. But, like, I never feel like my friends and I would be like, oh, like, that girl is, like, hot. Like, I don't feel like any of us
would disagree on that.
Or, like, I don't know if any of us would be like, the girl you're talking to is, like, the girl that you find attractive. Or, I will say this, we have not had
getting all the attention and it's not.
I will say this. So I will say this.
Just lucky to get any attention. I'm kidding.
I think the point that I'm trying to make is that, like, we haven't had those conversations where we're like, you know what, that girl is hot. Like, this girl isn't hot, right? Mm-hmm. It seems like that communication that, like, you and your friends may have, be like, oh, I think that guy is, like, really hot. Like, I'm gonna go and, like, try and talk to him. Like, yeah, like, he's okay. Like, those type of, like, conversations. Like, I would not say, me and my friends, like, we just don't have those type of
I will say it would never be the type of thing where if one of my friends at any age, whether I'm in high school, middle school, whatever, one of my friends said to me, I have a crush on so-and-so, or I'm really into so-and-so, that then I would be like, oh, well, they're not cute, or, oh, I find them really hot too. Like, that's just not something that you would say. So once there's, it's really more of with people that you don't know. So, because I will say the whole attraction thing, there's physical, but then there's everything else to the person, and that can, once I get to know the person, that can really change. Like, if you're physically attractive but I don't like the rest, it's like, I'm sorry, you're in the ugly category. Like, and there's nothing that you can do to get me past that. Like,
yes.
So oftentimes once someone has known the person enough to say, I have a crush on them, or I'm really into them, we're kind of beyond that point, and it's not about the physical anymore. It's in combination with other things. And so it just would, I mean, girls talk about that all the time though, you know, like we'll walk into a bar and like, oh, there's a hot guy, or like, did you see that guy sitting over there? Like, it's just, yeah, which one, you know? So it's just something.
Yeah, maybe I'm just like getting too old to remember the times where you're like, oh, you see that hot girl over there.
I'm sure you had these thoughts in your mind, you just weren't sharing it. Girls very much share all of these thoughts, whereas I feel like, and maybe that's stereotypical of me and not the case at all, but I feel that guys share that less.
Yeah. Alright.
Well, anyway, that is what we were doing.
Jesus.
Stay attractive.
The rules are a little bit different, whether you're attractive or not. But hopefully there's some borderline decorum. There's some baseline decorum that we're all following.
That's what we do.